Hi, it's Therese from Lostinpaper, and today I'm going to be doing some MISTI reverse stamping and using the coordinating dies. I've got this really cute cat. It's a new release from Waffle Flower Crafts, and this is the way it stamps. But what I want to do is actually stamp a second image so that they can face each other. I've used the coordinating die already to cut this cat shape out of a piece of white cardstock, and I've got it facing the way that it would normally stamp. I'm adding my low tack tape to that side of the cardstock because I actually want to be stamping on the reverse side of this die cut. Okay, so I'm just taking out the padded layer of my MISTI because I am kind of doing a kissing technique, so I do need to fit two stamps in here together, and that's a great way of doing that because it's actually a bit wider. It's made for when you're using the red rubber cling stamps. And I've got this technique from Jennifer McGuire. I'll link her video below because she goes into so much more detail and always shows so many fantastic examples of how to do this reverse stamping with the MISTI. I've got my sheet from the Stamp-A-Magic, which is a tool that I used to use all the time before the MISTI, and I thought I'd use that because it's nice and sturdy. You could also use a piece of acetate here, just so that you can, and what I've done there is line the cat image on top of the die cut. So to get the reverse image, you need to have a nice solid back of a stamp. So this is actually a new release from Waffle Flower Crafts as well. It's called the Halftone Background, and it's a nice solid big square stamp, and I've actually got it facing backwards on my MISTI, so it's the flat surface that I'm going to be using because that's where I'm going to add my ink to. Okay, so this is the part where I'm going to get the image onto the back of the stamp. So I've got my onyx black. This is pigment ink, and it's a good idea to use a pigment ink because it's slower drying. It just gives you that few more seconds. And I'm adding ink to my cat twice and then picking up the ink with the stamp that's on the lid of my MISTI. Then what I need to do is actually put the padded, I'm working quite quickly here, put the padded section back into the MISTI and the reverse side of the stamp, and then I can just press that ink onto the die cut that I've got there. My problem here was I didn't actually have my square stamp very well aligned in my MISTI, and it was touching the bottom portion of the MISTI door, like the well in the MISTI, and I suppose I could have gone back in and done the whole process again. I just thought it was easier to come in with a Copic multiliner and draw those few little lines in that hadn't stamped out perfectly. And often you'll find that with reverse stamping anyway, the image is never going to be as perfect as when you stamp it as it's intended. Alright, so the onyx black is really easy to clean off the back of your stamps, and I'm just using a stamp chamois here to do that. Now, because I've used the onyx, I'm using my pencils today. I've got my Prismacolors. I haven't used these for a while, and I really did enjoy colouring with them. They have, I still get them out all the time, but my Copics and the watercolours have kind of encroached, just in case you hadn't noticed. So I've sped this up because this video was more about the reverse stamping technique, and I find that even though those lines weren't stamped quite perfectly, the two things that really fix the image are adding some lines back in with the Copic multiliner and also colouring. By the time you finish colouring, you really often can't tell the difference. Will link all the colours that I use at my blog below. I have made another 2 cards at my blog. You can go and check them out. And this and all the products and everything will be linked there for the new Waffle Flower Crafts release, and it's another fun one, of course. They always have the best releases. And did I say I'm going to link the colours that I've used here at my blog as well? This set, even though it's a small one, does come with the coordinating dies, which is always really very handy. And this is the reverse cat. I think, you know, it's not too different to the other one. And I'm trying to find my French grey colours. Do you think I keep all my colours separate, like in colour families? And I don't know. I did find them eventually, but you think only having those few pencils to choose from, I would be able to pick them out. No, I was grabbing for about 5 minutes before, and I had to actually read every pencil and find out where my French, because they kind of look brown. It's weird. All right, so I'm just going to start sort of getting the rest of my card together now. I've got one of the Plaid Maker stripes and some fishing pond ink, and I'm stamping out a stripy background. This is like the prettiest colour ever. I was thinking about like creating a whole scene for these cats, but I thought they were such fun images. I thought this would, and I'm actually glad I went with this rather than a scene, because it just added such a sort of a fun element to the background with these stripes. And I've got one of the nesting rectangle dies here, and I've just cut that out with my Gemini. Have I told you how much I love my Gemini Junior? It is awesome. I have done so much die cutting lately. It was the best thing I have ever got. It was a birthday present for me this year, so maybe it might make a nice Christmas present for you. And I saw they've got a little one. I know I don't need it, but it'd be nice to have it, don't you think? Okay, so I am adding all these bits to the front of my card now. I have used some fun foam behind the panel. I've used some foam dots behind the images. I did stamp the sentiment directly onto the panel, but as well I heat embossed a couple of those, the other sentiments from the set, and put them on some black cardstock. I just thought that would really help the sentiment to pop on this design. And I couldn't resist adding a little mouse. You know how much I like my little mice. And I'm still using up my foam squares. These are the ones I hate, these little black ones. I'll link to the ones I like. That's my finished card. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll be back again real soon. Till next time, happy paper crafting. Bye.